Angell, and I'm joined by two young ladies, Miss Laetitia Angell and Miss Imarye Banton. But before I go any further, and I'm not going to say anything more, I want you to tell me if you can hear me or you can hear us now. I'm not going to say anything else because there we were, excited, getting ready, and then people started to say, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. So let me know if you can hear us. Yeah. Let me see something. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can hear myself. Right, good. Well, anyway, as I said, last week I had two other ladies who came on the show from the Miss Teen Caribbean UK. And it was an exciting interview because what I wanted to do was somehow to engage young people at this time. So many things are happening in society, and I believe it's very important that we engage with the young people. So Miss Teen Caribbean UK have the level of contestants with a very interesting pageant with young people, not the typical one, but using intelligence and all of that with my good friend Sharika Miller. So what I'm going to do today is to have another two young ladies, and what they're going to do is to talk about their life in the UK, race relations, and what they would do if they were the Prime Minister of the UK. So without further ado, I want you to buckle up and let's get going. And first of all, I'll introduce Laetitia Angell, who is 15 years of age. Laetitia, tell us about who you are. Yes.
Well, hi, I'm Laetitia, as you already said. I'm currently in secondary school and I'm taking design, technology, catering and history for my GCSEs. In the future, I would like to be a famous architect.
Okay. And I go over to Imarye. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
We spent a little time practicing Imarye Banton. So tell us about Imarye.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Imarye, I'm 16, and I'm going into year 12 to study media, business, and sociology. And in the future, I hope to be a digital marketer.
Okay, fantastic. Of course, digital is the way forward now, where everybody's going that, and with the lockdown, everybody has been at home. Tell me, first of all, why both of you, and I start with Imarye, wanted to be a part of the Miss Teen Caribbean UK pageant, and even so during the lockdown period, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I understood. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Laetitia?
Oh yeah, sorry, it cut out for a bit.
Okay, Imarye, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, it's cutting out.
Yeah. So my question to you was why you joined the Miss Teen Caribbean UK.
Me first?
No, Laetitia. I'm sorry, Imarye. My apologies, Imarye.
Well, I joined because it'd be like a really good experience. I've already learnt new skills. Now I'm doing interviews and it's really fun. And yeah, it's going to be a good experience.
And for you, Laetitia?
I just kind of want to build my confidence and just kind of be a role model to show people that they can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah. Okay, good. And now, as a young teenager, I'm going to say black, but yes, black teenager, I'm growing up in the UK with these uncertain times, and with what you've seen going around, and I'm going to start with you, of recent days, you had the killing of George Floyd, and the demonstrations going out there with Black Lives Matters. It is something which is in our face, whether we like it or not. If I start with Laetitia, what's your thoughts on what happened in the past few weeks ago? How did you relate to it, and what did it mean to you? What did it mean to you as a young teenager?
Well, when I saw the video of the killing of George Floyd, it kind of came up all over my Instagram, and I was confused at first to why anyone would do this to someone, especially a black person. And then I was angry, but I know that if you're angry and you just act on it, it's not going to do any good. So I knew that I'd have to do something. So I started to sign petitions, justice petitions, and donating kind of where I can, and just letting friends and family know about it. So I feel like it's important to let people know and don't impulsively act out because of what you've seen, because it won't have good consequences.
Okay. And I'll come back to you again. And Imarye?
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, it was really upsetting. First of all, I thought it was like such a horrible thing for you to see, but it's like it happens all the time. And that's what, like, that's really sad. But yeah, I've also been signing petitions, been sharing it around on social media, talking to my friends about it, letting everyone I know about it, making sure they know.
In your circle of friends, because one would have to be a fly on the wall to understand what teenagers speak about. I was a teenager once, just maybe about 5 years ago. If anything, I remember when I was in Jamaica. What is the level of conversations that you guys have? Take us down the road like a fly on the wall. Like, what is the conversation you guys having when you're seeing this, the demonstration, and within your circle of friends? Imar.
Well, in my circle of friends, I think, well, two of my friends, the majority of my friends are mainly white, but they're very like, I feel like I surround myself with people that are educated on it. So
Yeah.
they do understand it and they do know about it, and they agree with the protest, and it's like they understand that it's wrong, and they also know how I feel about it being a black female, and they're like, they know about it, and I'm also making sure that they continue to know about it and they also talk about it.
Yes.
And I would like to join the protest, but I couldn't because of what's going on now. But it's good to see that other people are on my age, and some of my friends went. Actually, two of my friends went. It's good to see that they're going and they're using their voices and their platforms and everything to make everyone else aware.
And even though you got a pandemic going on, you think it was
Yeah.
a good opportunity to go out there? You
Yeah,
did.
I couldn't go because of it, but they did. But they also like wore masks and everything, and they didn't go for long. But they went to just show their solidarity with it, and I think that was really good and it was really nice to see.
Laetitia, for you, the same way. What is the sort of discussion like with your circle of friends as well?
Well, most of my friends are also white, so I do catch up on with them a lot to see how they feel about the situation, and they all are behind the Black Lives Matter movement. They think that what's going on right now with the police and killings by the police is really wrong,
Yes.
and we went to a peaceful protest a while ago, but we did keep our distance because of what's going on right now, to just show that we support. And yeah, they're very supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement, so we have like conversations about that from time to time.
It's interesting. What has come out is that your circle of friends, based on your school, are white. Both for you, Laetitia and Amar. Have you ever then experienced even subtle or subliminal levels of racism that you maybe look back now and say, "Oh, that was racism" or something like that? Of course, I understand that maybe your friends might be watching you or seeing you, but if that is up to you, what would you say about that? Have you ever sort of experienced anything? Anyone can go first.
You can go first, sorry.
Amar?
Thank you. I feel like it is kind of normalized now, whether it's like, oh, your hair, it's so, they'll be like, oh, how does your hair stand up like that? Or can I feel it? Or do you wash your hair? Or maybe they'll tan and be like, I'm darker than you, haha, you're black and I'm darker than you. Some stuff like that, like it's a bit normalized. And I wouldn't say it's like racism, haha, but it's like, it's comments you don't really say to people, but to them it's like okay. And I don't know, I don't really feel like as a little kid you want, like, you would find, like, as a little kid, why is your friend like touching your hair and seeing why it's standing up so high and asking you if you wash your hair? Like, it's like a bit like just a bit of weird. And it's just, as now I'm older, I'm just a bit like, oh, why would they say that? That's weird, because now I don't get people saying that.
Yeah.
But back then it was a bit odd to hear my friends say and ask me.
That's very interesting. But at the same time, do you think that as you grow up and societies now like this now, friends, everybody are friends, isn't it okay? Wouldn't it be okay then for people to say about you, like your color, your hair? I mean, another child, another girl have blonde hair. I mean, children communicating, talking casually. What do you say? Would you say that is acceptable?
It is acceptable, yeah, but to like a certain extent. Like, the comments can just be general, like children's curiosity, like asking questions about my hair, which is fine, but
Yes.
sometimes it's just a bit like asking questions like why are you so dark? I think that's a bit of a stretch, but like it's
Okay, I hear you. Laetitia, for you, yeah.
Well, I've kind of experienced the same thing, but I've gotten questions like, does your family smoke weed? Were you born here? Can you speak patois for me? Do you like reggae music? Kind of just that, kind of just relating me, even though most of those kind of things aren't true. I think it's stereotypes. They're just trying to find out and integrating it into normal conversations. And it is very normalized, especially in secondary school. I
Yes.
think it's really normalized. So you do experience it a lot.
So in essence, you are aware of these things around you, but you are learning how to go through it or navigate through it. Is that a fair statement? Yeah. Now, something interesting happened during the same period of demonstration, and I'm touching into something about history. There was the toppling of a statue in Bristol, and then recently there was the removal of Cecil Rhodes in a proper way. What do you think about statues? Should they remove or should they stay as a point of interest of learning, or should they go? Should they stay or should they go? Imarye.
I feel like they should go, because if you're saying you're a country now that's completely against racism and slavery's over and now like equality, but you have statues of like slave traders and like people that weren't very nice towards the non-white community, it's a bit hypocritical that you'll be having it up. If you do want to have it as like a historical point, then put it in the history books and teach people about it in their history classes and let people know about it then, instead of having people pay like lots of money for a statue to be built about like history that is not very good. It's not very nice.
Interesting. I'm going to come back to you on a point which you mentioned right there, but I want to hear what Laetitia said and sort of bring it together.
Well, I know a lot of people are saying that taking down the statue is erasing history, but I agree that it is erasing history. It's just erasing bad history that nobody should have to learn about. I feel that if you do learn about it, the conclusion you should get from it is that it's bad, and that we should not repeat anything that had happened in the past with the slave trade and anything like that. And I feel like they should replace the statues, but with statues of good people or people who have positively contributed to the Black community and society instead of being a slave trader.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said, Imarye, about history, and interesting what you said, Laetitia, about erasing the bad part of history. But isn't history history? I mean to say, it's a factual thing. At the same time, we know that the victors of any war or whatever are the ones that write the history. So, like for argument's sake, in the Caribbean, they'll say Christopher Columbus discovered Jamaica. But we all know that he didn't discover Jamaica because Jamaica was always there, and Arawak Indians were always there before. But are we in danger of erasing some key factual aspects of history when things are not before us? You said, Imarye, that you like for it to be taught, but are you learning history in school? Black history?
Not really.
Laetitia, are you learning Black history in school?
No, the only time we learn Black history is when we learn about slavery.
Right. So therefore, as far as you're concerned, if you're not careful and if your parents are not around or books are not around or certain thing, one would think that Black history started from slavery.
Yeah.
Right. So therefore, how do you think then Black history should be taught? Because this is around history now. I was thinking at one point, I was saying, I'm sort of in between by saying, if the statue is there, it can be a point of learning to say, this man was a slave trader, this happened X, Y, Z, and therefore it's before you. How would you deal with then learning history? And listen, I'm treating you guys as adults here. I'm talking to you just as normal, so I'm not sort of buttering this up. I want you to talk to me now. How would you want Black history to be taught to you?
Well, First of all, yeah, I feel like the main conversation during Black History Month is about slavery, and it's so much more than that. I mean, we've created so many things, we've invented tons of things. There are so many people who are really smart and they're Black, and it's not taught enough. Like as a child, you could ask me like one thing, it would be about slavery, and I think they should be teaching you more that you can just be more than a criminal or something. Like you be able to be a scientist, you can be a prime minister, you can have like positions up high, and I think they should teach that, because when they teach you about World War, you've got Britain winning the war, and it's like Britain, everyone woohoo, amazing, and then Black history is just like negative, and our history is positive. We've got so much culture, and it's not shared enough. Like the culture is not shared enough, and there's so much. People are from all around, and they're all Black, and they're all really good people.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Laetitia.
Well, I feel like with the whole Black History Month, because in school, a friend of mine and we did ask to be taught something along the lines of Black history during Black History Month, but that never got to happen. So I feel like the main focus in history and Black History Month should be Black history, because it plays such a big part. Like Imarye said, there are so many people who are Black and have invented things that we take for granted today. So I feel like they should integrate that into just history lessons in general. I feel like they should also change the curriculum to have Black history in it mandatory.
I did ask your colleagues last week, and it's a tricky question I'm going to say now, and I want to ask you this. Is there Asian history taught in school?
I do not think so.
We talked about Jewish history, the Holocaust in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about that. Do you think then that who is responsible then? Who do you think is ultimately responsible to teach young Black boys, Black girls about history, Black history? Who do you think as that who should be really teaching you guys about it?
The school, first of all, the school, because you have to go to school. Like you have to go to school, and in school they say that history is a subject that you have to take in secondary school. It's a subject that you have to take, but yet they're not including everyone. They're not including every part. They say that it's like they're all inclusive and they welcome all like all races and all different ethnicities and cultures, but then they don't teach all ethnicities and cultures, like everything about it. Like some people don't know. I don't know much about Asian culture because I'm not taught about it, and I'd love to learn it. It shouldn't just be the parents and the families teaching their own children about it. If you're living in a country that says they're so open to more people, they should be teaching them about it. You can't I shouldn't just be learning about one certain group of people's lives and mine's not taught.
That's interesting. And Laetitia, if you pick up on that one.
I feel the very same way. I feel like the school should definitely teach it, because I think that schools can actually choose what they teach to their students. So I feel that it should be mandatory that we do have multicultural history in school. Very much kind of that. I feel the school should do it.
I'm going to go back to the fly on the wall because, of course, being 15 and 16, you guys are in a zone. You know, my son, 13, with his mates and PS4, they're in a zone to a certain extent with their peers. What do your peers say about Black history? Is it because some say, adults will say, Black history should be relegated to just 1 month. It should be 12 months of the year. Every day, one should be learning about Black history. What do your mates say, your friends? I mean, and why I say that now, because you said your mates are mostly white. How do you then engage with that? How do you deal with that?
Well, I do think it's it is good that we have a whole month just dedicated to Black history, not just being slavery, everything about Black history, the stuff we've created and how we've helped everyone. I think it's good that we have a month for us, but it's just a bit it is kind of overlooked. It's like a month and it's oh yeah, let's forget it. Back to back to like Britain's amazingness and all of this, and then it's like not taught in anything else. And I hope my friend group agrees with me on it, but because it's a bit it would be unfair. Like, I don't think they would say, oh, you've got a month, like, leave it alone now, because you're spoken about every single day, everywhere, all the time, 24/7, and I'm also living amongst you. I go to school with you, and I'm not always shown. And it is kind of just like, I would always like to be constantly heard, not just once a month. And yeah, I'd hope my friend group also agreed with me on that. We don't really talk about it as much, but I think we should speak about it more.
Laetitia?
Well, I think my friends all are on the same kind of stance about learning Black history, because our history teacher regularly asks us for feedback, and most of the time all my friends say learn Black history in the improvement box. So I feel like they're very kind of agreeing with me, and they feel that it should be learned, and I don't think it should stay to a month, because it's kind of just pushing us to the side. It's like, oh, you've got your month and that's it, and then we're gonna go back, like Imarye said. But I feel that it should be learned whenever, because there isn't a certain time to learn about it. It should be learned whenever it needs to be learned.
Many people say that we sometimes are talking too much about race, and therefore people should really understand who they are, the contents of their character, instead of the color of their skin, as Marcus Garvey would say, or Nelson or Martin Luther King. I think, yeah. But do you believe that you being Black is an impediment, or you know that you are very confident that you go through successfully in life?
I do think it can be difficult, but I don't try and think about it too much, because when I was younger, my school was like majority Black. There was lots of different like ethnicities at my school, and then when I moved in year 5, 6, I was like the only Black girl in my class, and there was like 3 Black girls in the whole year, and it was like a big change. And I know I went from just like being like around all my friends, being a bit comfortable, to being a bit uncomfortable. And I know it was like, don't be a bit too loud, because they'll think you're the loud Black girl. And it's sometimes little stuff like that. It kind of makes you feel like you can't really be yourself, and you feel like it's going to be a bit more difficult for you when you get older, because maybe like my name's a bit too like Black, or like a bit too exciting for people, and that's like looked down on. But I feel like I'm not really going to think about it too much, because I feel like it should change. It shouldn't be like that. But if you're going to judge me because of like my name, or because I'm Black, I don't want to work for you. I don't want to be in that environment where people are going to be like, oh, she's Black, I'm not hiring her. I want to be where they don't see me for being Black, but they just see me for being creative and working hard. And lots of people are like that now, and I hope everyone is like that now, but they're not. And it is a hard truth, but I don't really like to think about it too much, because it's just, I need to just get through and get to where I want. I know what my goals are, and I'm going to get to my goals.
That's good. Laetitia, along that line, same way,
Well, growing up in primary school, I kind of had the opposite to Imarye. I was the only Black person in general in the primary school for about 2 or 3 years, until my younger brother joined. So I did kind of get judged. Like, kids, when they're younger, they don't really understand why people look so different, so they will judge them and exclude them. I did experience a lot of that, so I do feel like being Black comes with its limits, but they're very easy to ignore, and to overcome those, you just need to show people that you are strong and you don't care about if they judge you or prejudice you. You just need to show that you can be just as capable in anything as they are.
So therefore, you guys see yourself somewhat as a leader then. Can I say that confidently? You see yourself as leaders, youth leaders. Laetitia?
Yeah, I'm very competitive, and I like being a leader, so I feel people kind of look up to me because I have all this confidence, and I feel that people expect me to kind of be down on myself and kind of have low self-esteem because I'm different and I stand out in school and in public, but I'm not. I'm confident and I've overcome everything that I've been through. So yeah, I do think of myself as a leader.
Imar?
Yeah, I see myself as a leader. I'm also quite competitive, and I feel like sometimes people take me being strong in my beliefs as me being like cocky or mean, but if it's just like I know who I am, and I
Yeah.
have had to go through people kind of tell me who I am or think they know who I am because of how I look, and now I know who I am because I am me. I am a leader.
I like what you said about knowing who I am, and it is something I always speak about is knowing your identity, knowing exactly who you are, and not to be branded. You know, like the word BAME. Lots of discussions are happening now. Should they take it away because they're just putting everybody in this little block? And I always use this example of a gentleman who once said to me, um, he said to me, Sylbourne, oh Sylbourne, if only Sylbourne knows who Sylbourne is. And when I speak to go to schools or speak to young people at times, always say that phrase to them. And I'll call their name, like say Laetitia, oh Laetitia, if only Laetitia know who Laetitia is. Imarye, if only Imarye know who Imarye is. Because it is a key thing where people know who they are, their sense of identity. And that's one of the things where it's so important that you guys are able to speak and show your colors. Because if I touch on the politics here now, and when you see what's happening in politics, do you believe that more Black people need to immerse themselves into the political system? Laetitia.
Yeah, I feel like it's very important because as a child or as an adult at any age, it is really kind of life-changing to see someone who looks like you or acts like you in a position of power. I feel
Yeah.
like there should be more people of color in positions of power to represent their community. I feel it's really important because then you're able to get your say and the people's say.
Yes. And Imar?
I agree with Letitia. I mean, I feel like quite a few people do say they want change, and as you get older, you could be the person to change it. If we all just think, oh, we need someone to change it, but don't actually go
Yes.
towards making the change, nothing's going to change. We do need to put ourselves in those positions to make change. Then our kids and our kids' kids will be will have what we've dreamt of.
But as I say, the change that you want, be the change that you want to be. So therefore, the key question I'm going to ask you now is: you've seen um, the discrimination, you've seen the inequalities, you've seen the issues whereby youth centers are closed, and you've seen whereby children sometimes have nowhere to go. If you guys were the government, or you're prime minister, or a key member of the government of the United Kingdom, which is not impossible, we'll have a black prime minister in the UK, whether female or male. Barack Obama was president. Anything is possible. I tend never to see the obstacles, but I see the obstacles as challenges. If you were Laetitia, the government, the prime minister, or a key member, what would you do to effect the changes that you say you want to see? What are some of the key things that you do? Three points.
Well,
Give us
I
3
would
points.
start with making multicultural history mandatory in all schools so that you can learn from a young age about different cultures that you'll see when you grow up.
Yeah.
And I also think it's really important to learn about racial diversity in workplaces and also in PSHE lessons in schools so that people know what not to say to a person just because of the color of their skin. And yeah, I just kind of implement that in kids from a young age and also in workplaces for people who haven't already learned it.
That's your key policy of change that you'd want to be a key thing to make some changes, yeah?
Yeah.
And Amar, if you're the
Yeah,
government, you're the prime minister, you're Prime Minister Banton, not Buju Banton.
I do agree that they should make history, like Black history, mandatory. I feel like we need to look more into more people who were a bit like the statues. No one knew about the statues until quite recently. I feel like we do need to look more into who else is like that. Make more rules where it's not really giving us the upper hand, but it's like it's more helping people of color just be like more up in the world, like making it a bit easier for us to have positions of power where we can make a difference. And I would definitely make sure to help out people with like their lives, giving more money to children who can't get into like certain schools, or like they don't have good households. I definitely help with that, because it's just like if they see me doing something like that when they're older, they're also going to want to do the same thing, and it will just, everyone will be more equal.
Oh, that's great. So well, I need to let you guys know that myself, your mother, Sharika, and all the other adults, you guys are going to be having that responsibility of taking care of us. Because if you realize recently with COVID-19, what you saw a lot with the elderlies, they're in homes and everything like that, very precious and need to be taken care of. So you guys are going to have that task of taking care of us, right? And that's why it's important that we listen and hear from you. Now, before I go, I want you guys to speak, if anything. So, if you're going to motivate your peers, young people like yourself, because everybody needs motivate. What is a word of encouragement or motivation that you give to your peers, young people, and especially young black boys and young black girls at this time? Laetitia, what is the word that you share with young people?
I feel like it's really important to know who you are and where you came from, like your history. So I found out my own history by myself. I read books, looked on the internet. So it's very important, just know who you are and be confident in your own skin, and don't change yourself for anybody else just because they judge you or exclude you because of the color of your skin, because you are strong and you're just as good as anyone else.
Yes. Mara? Mara.
Yeah,
Right.
Imarye. I would just say, yeah, be confident in yourself. Don't feel like you need to be quiet because the people around you are uncomfortable about what you have to say. If you want to talk about like your life and how you feel like your people, like your culture isn't being like spoken about enough, you be the person to speak about it. Don't wait for someone else to say it. If you feel like something isn't right, you be the person to speak about it, and hopefully people around you will know and see that you are strong and you can continue to do it.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I tell you, it's really an honor, and give thanks for Miss Teen Caribbean UK, because you guys have inspired me to do a show on Fridays now to allow young people to speak. I mean, you guys always speak instead, but just share the platform with other persons. Uh, if there's anything burning, like, sometimes you got this moment is, oh, I wanted to have said that. Is there anything that you want to say, that you want to share before we go? We good? We got it? We got everything out?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for having Laetitia, Angell, and also Imarye Banton.
Yep.
Get it right. I got it
Yeah.
right. So you guys got to get it right, Imarye Banton. And really, please do share some positive words for them. They'll come back and see this feed. And I want to wish you all the best in your competition, and wish you all the best in your life, and wish you all the best and success in your studies. And I look forward to see you on the political front line, or whichever front line, and be the leader that you guys are. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much again for joining us tonight, and thank you so much for having spending that time with me, with these young people. It is very important, as I shared a while ago, that young people are the future, and I'm really privileged for Sharika to allow this to happen. I believe it was powerful and inspirational, motivational, and very encouraging. And when you see young people like this, we've got to protect them and encourage them, and also to allow them to speak. Let them speak their voice with clarity. I always talk about this scripture in Job. I need to find the scripture actually. When they were when I think they said there's an inspiration in a young person that makes them speak. It's not just age only, but the youths also need to speak. Because I always say this song by La Miserable, that musical, and it says, "Be careful how you go, because little people grow." Okay, I mean to say they'll get bigger. So thank you very much. Okay, so have a good night and all the best. And thank you all for joining. And see you around. Bye bye. Thank you.